Are we live? I hope we are live. Let me just double check with my phone here just to make sure that we are live. Just to make sure that we are live. Okay. Just to make sure. Okay. Right, we are live, guys. I'll just share the stream. Just give me 1 second. Okay. I think we are live. So hi guys and welcome to the candidates channel. Happy New Year, by the way. It's been forever. I haven't talked to you guys in a long time. I think the last video I uploaded was in 2024, right towards the end of 2024. And I remember talking about what 2024 was and everything like that, like how many videos I uploaded on the channel. But I have a video that I captured actually in 2024 that I want to share with you guys. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I have always shot videos on my iPhone 12 Pro. Even though I had a Sony a6700 that I also got in 2024. So in 2024 I had 3 goals. The first one was to get myself a new camera, which I did. The second one was to get myself a new vehicle, which I did not. I failed on that one. I also had a big debt to pay off that I almost did. I think I would say I'm at 98% of clearing out that date. And fourthly was what? I don't remember what the fourth goal was in 2024. But anyways, that's just what I wanted to say. But today we're going to be doing a video about how I color grade Apple log. So in 2024, I remember telling you guys that I don't see the need. In fact, not just 2024, like from 2021. I remember telling you guys that I don't want to upgrade from my iPhone 12 Pro. Like if I was to upgrade at any one moment, that would have been at the time when my iPhone 12 Pro's battery is actually completely dead. But you know, Apple has this return it program where you actually return the product and then you get a little bit of money back and then you can purchase a new product. So I took my phone to Best Buy and they assessed it. They told me they were going to give me back 320 Canadian dollars, which was, I mean, a very good deal for this iPhone 12 Pro here. This is my iPhone 12 Pro. And I can tell you that it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Right now, I'm just, trying to buy time, just talking to you guys as I prepare myself to, start this stream. This phone is extremely in good condition, as you can see. Extremely good condition. The battery is still good. I mean, if I'm to sell this phone to somebody, I can sell it for more than 320 bucks. It's still good. But yeah, I upgraded to 15 Pro. And with the 15 Pro, you know that you can shoot Apple log. So I shot a video in 2024 with this phone. This phone is only 2 months old. It's only 2 months old. And I captured a video using Apple log. And it's been a thing of try and error, trying to experiment and see what works best and what does not, and how best to expose Apolog. Of course, I watched a couple of videos on how to expose Apolog, and yeah, I got to learn a few things on how to expose Apolog. Looks like if you're exposing for Apolog, what I can tell you is you need an ND filter. Now, if you do not have an ND filter, then I don't know what you're up to. You'll suffer if you're trying to capture in Apolog, because Apolog loves a lot of light, like a lot of light. So I recently purchased this little thing here. This is an ND filter for a smartphone from a Chinese company. Now I was scrolling on, they say professional cell phone lens, but it's not a lens. It's actually an ND filter right there. Of course, the camera is focusing on my face right there. That is an ND filter I got from Amazon. And I can tell you guys, if I told you the price of this ND filter, you won't believe me. It works great. This ND filter was only 4.99, like 4.99 Canadian dollars, which you round off to about $5. If it's American, then that could be like maybe $4, about $4 or less. So yeah, I saw the deal on Amazon and it was on Prime. Of course, I have Prime. I was like, you know what? Let me give it a shot and see. And I got the thing. It's only 37 millimeters wide, but it works great. It does work great. This is my iPhone 15 Pro, and you just simply clip it on. It's a clip-on ND filter. And when you clip it on, that is what you have. It works. Of course, it won't cover the whole 3 lenses on your iPhone 15 or your iPhone 16 or your iPhone 12, but at least it covers the lens that you're using. You can get to move it around so that you cover the lens that you need to use, and it works great. So it's ND 200. If I remember, was it ND 200 or ND 2 to ND 400? It does amazingly well. The downside though is that when you are trying to, roll it around to dial in the right ND that you need, if you really go past a certain point, you're going to see some X's in your footage. So you want to avoid that. Just make sure that you really don't rotate the ring to, I don't know, the maximum. So it has something there that shows maximum right there. Here it shows max, and then there is also a minimum level. That's the minimum. So it just rotates throughout. Like it doesn't have like those little stops, like as you roll the ring around for you to know that, okay, this is where the maximum point is and this is where the minimum point is. So you don't get to see that. But you really need an ND filter if you're to capture videos using Apolog. Otherwise, you're going to overexpose your footage and you may not actually recover. You may not recover that footage in post-production, irrespective of you capturing it in Apolog. I know, of course, Apolog gives you a lot of dynamic range and allows you to capture more detail in the highlights and in the shadows. But if you don't have an ND filter, my friend, then you're likely to suffer in post-production. Anyway, a lot of rambling and a lot of talking. So let's just dive into Davinci Resolve and we see what's up. So this is the video that I captured in 2024. Using Apolog. I'm not going to be answering your questions directly. If maybe that will be after or towards the end of the stream. That will be towards the end of the stream, but right now I'm just going to go direct into the tutorial. So here in Davinci Resolve, of course, what you want to do is you need to set up your editing session, right? That's what I want to say, editing session, right? You need to set it right. So you come under your little settings at the bottom here, bottom right corner, there's a little wrench button. You just click there and make sure that you set up your color management. So in my case, I decided to go with Davinci YRGB for my color science, and then under timeline color space I went with Rec 709 Gamma 2.4, and then for my output color space I went with Davinci Wide Gamut Stroke Intermediate. I think the rest of the settings you can leave them as they are, and the reason why I went with this particular setting in the color management space here was because I never wanted to use Davinci YRGB color managed because some of the times I am capturing videos using some of the times I'm capturing videos using my phone, and sometimes I'm capturing videos using my Sony a6700. So in order to avoid a mismatch of color spaces, because I know I can capture on my iPhone 15 Pro Apple log, but also on my Sony a6700 I can capture Sony S log, right? S log, maybe S log 3 or Cineton, whatever, like any of the color spaces. So in order to avoid that mismatch in color spaces, I just decided to go with Davinci YRGB, and then my output color space is Davinci Wide Gamut Stroke Intermediate. So in that way, if I import my footage into my timeline, it does not automatically get converted to Rec 709, because in that way I have more room. I have the flexibility of converting every footage that I have on my timeline to Rec 709 independently without having a generalized setting across all my clips. That would mess up everything, because you're having clips from the phone, and then you're having clips from the Sony camera, maybe from another camera, then it will just mess up everything. So yeah, you make sure, like in my case, this is how I set it up. Then you can also save this as a preset in Davinci Resolve if that's what I want to do. You click on the three dots in the corner up there. You click on the three dots in the corner right up here. I don't know if you guys are able to see that. I wanted to point, but yeah, you click on these three dots right there, and then you can save current settings as a preset, or you can set current settings as default. Now in my case, I usually have the default setting is this particular setting called Sony iPhone. That is my default setting whenever I load up any new projects. So that is my default, because like I explained to you guys, I shoot different cameras. So let's get out of that. So this is how the footage got color graded, but I'll just turn off the effects on this video for you guys to see where we started from. So this is Apple log, and I don't remember what settings I used here. I really don't remember, but I know it was a snowy day, like there was snow outside that day, but the temperatures were really very good. I remember having, I think my ISO was at I think 800, if not 800, 1600. So if you're capturing Apple log, they advise, again, this is something that I got off the internet from experts. They say that you need to expose at least anywhere between 800 to 1600. That is what they say. But sometimes, if you, like I said, if you don't have an ND filter, going up there may be trouble. So you need to stay like 800 going down, which is very good. In that way you will get very good exposure. So this is where we started from, Apple log. And it's always good to use the Blackmagic Camera app. By the way, I use the Blackmagic Camera app in this case, and I'll just turn off all these nodes. Now, when I was getting into color grading using Davinci Resolve, the most scary and intimidating part was these nodes. Like, coming from a Premiere Pro background, it was really intimidating, like, to color grade in Davinci Resolve. Like, I was like, what are these things called nodes, and you know, how do I even get to use them? Like, but then it's really seamless. It's a seamless transition if you already have basic knowledge on how to use color grading in Premiere Pro. So for me, it was very easy to transition. So yeah, back to our Davinci Resolve here. I don't know how many people we have on the stream, but it's just us. Anyways, so the first node, right? Look, so these nodes you see here are some sort of a preset that I saved up in my when you come here in LUTs. Yeah, when you come to gallery, so you have stills on the left hand corner up here, top corner. You have gallery, you have LUTs, media pool, clips. So when you come to gallery here, you have stills, and then you have power grade, and then you have timelines. So whenever I upgraded a video and I felt like I liked the grading that I had achieved, what I would do was to take a screenshot of that by simply right clicking and grabbing a still. So when you grab a still, it simply gets saved in this area here, where you can later on just drag and drop it into the power grade. So when you drag it into the power grade, that gets saved as a preset, and every time you want to replicate the same grade, you just come to your color page and just click on this little window here, drag and drop it this way, and you'll be good. At least you'll have somewhere to start from. So yeah, that's that's that. Okay, so here in the color page, okay, I first started by doing my conversion. So this is my color space transform. You can transform your Apple log footage using different methods. The very first method is you downloading a conversion LUT from online. I think Apple has not yet released an official Apple log conversion to Rec 709 LUT. It's not there, but there are so many creators out there, and so many not so many, but some companies out there that have designed some conversion LUTs from Apple log to Rec 709. And now Rec 709 is the most user-friendly color space on most devices for viewing, right? That is why most people still use Rec 709. However, there are some devices that have displays of Rec 2020 that support Rec 2020, which of course gives you a wider color gamut as compared to Rec 709. I think they say Rec 2020 gives you approximately 75.6 or 75.9 something, the amount of color that you can see. Yeah, like in layman's language, it's like the amount of color or the amount of hues that you can get. So Rec 2020 gives you the most, of course, followed by P3D65, which gives you about 53 point something, and then Rec 709 comes last at 35 point something. So that is why, but because most media on most devices still support Rec 709, which is like the gold standard, and yeah, so most people convert their footage to Rec 709, and it looks good on most monitors, on most devices, on most phones. So I really can't complain about that. So you have your color space transform, and then you click effects. So how you get to, I'll just rename this node here. I'll label it as CST, which simply stands for color space transform. So you create a new node and name it CST, which is your color space transform, and then you come to effects. You come to effects here, and then you just search up color space transform. You drag and drop it right there. Then you're good. Let me just show you. If I have a node, for example, here, if I have this as my starting node and I click effects, so you see I have a bunch of effects here. I can come to color space transform, drag and drop it in here. So once you drop it in here, this other window shows up. So this is where you dial in your settings, where you're going to convert your Apple log footage or S log footage, whatever, D log, all these logs, or your raw footage. You convert it from log or raw to Rec 709. So in this case, in my case, I got, as you can see, these are the settings I use, and I have reasons for why I use this. So I went with my input color space as Davinci wide gamut. Okay, right here. That's what I went with as my input color space. And then my input gamma was Apolog, because that is the footage I got from the iPhone. And then my output color space, I put it as Rec 709, like I told you. But then my gamma, I used Cineon film log. Now I have reasons for this. Now people have different ways of color grading, and I mean others are very scientific reasons, but for me, I like going with what I see. I go with what looks good to my eye. And I mean, there's a reason why they put all these settings in here. Black Magic Design, blah blah blah. And then you have Apolog, SCS, CC, Apolog, blah 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 blah. Then you have Rec 709, HSV, HSL. Now the reason why I went with Cineon film log is because later on in one of the nodes I used a film look. I think it's the Rec 709 Kodak 2383 D60 LUT. That's what I applied, because yeah, that's what I wanted to use, because this particular LUT here, the Kodak 2383 D60, is very contrasty, and it kind of brings your highlights very high, and then it really crushes your shadows. So yeah, we'll talk about that later on. So first step is creating a color space transform node, like I showed you my settings. And then the second thing that I did here was my primaries. Now right now it really looks very bad, but this is what I did in my primaries. So I'll come here in my primaries and I show you guys what I did. So you can see I changed my color temperature from, of course, usually this one by default it's at 0. It's at 0 by default, but I chose to put it at 140. And so for my lift, what I must tell you though is when you're color grading, it's always good, like if you're using Davinci Resolve or even Premiere Pro, you always want to use a vector scope. It's always good to use a vector scope, because a vector scope, I think, really gives you a good display of what's going on. So what you can do is, you see this bright area in the center here. If I didn't have any settings on, you can see that it's really centered there, because the image is very flat. But the moment I transform it right there, the colors begin to pop. Now you see this part here, down here, it's moving towards the blue cyan. It's because of this green here. It's green actually, but the software is reading it as cyan, so it falls within that spectrum. So what you can do from this point is to always keep an eye on this vector scope, and then you can adjust the colors accordingly. What you want is to have that bright spot in the center. Yes, you might have colors, you know, drifting south, others going northeast. I'm using the compass. So you have points here on this vector scope. You have the red, you have the M. I don't know what M stands for, really. I don't know what M stands for, like seriously. Then you have the B, which is the blue. Oh, okay. M is magenta. Actually, okay. All right. I think I got it. So up here is the red. M is the magenta. B is here. That's on the x-axis. So along the x-axis, you have the blue and the yellow. And then up here, you have the red and the cyan. Down here, this is the C. Is that the C? Yeah, that is cyan. And then you have the green and the magenta. So you can actually see it from here, from the color wheels, right? When you look at the color wheels right here, you can see that up here is red, down here is cyan, here is green, and that's magenta, and then you have your yellow here and your blue. So it's basically looking at the color wheel that you can actually use this knowledge when color grading, especially if you want to use like complementary colors. This is where this is what you can use as a guiding tool if you want to use complementary colors. If you're wondering what is the opposite of blue, right? The opposite of blue is yellow, this way. So you can use the color wheel to help you with complementary colors. That is, if you are into color grading and, you know, using a lot of color in your art. Okay, so this is what I did. Under my lift, I brought my lift up by 0.04, and then I left everything the same. I didn't change any of the colors. And then I moved my tint by -1. And then my gamma. Now gamma is mostly like your midtones, right? So I moved it up by 0.01, and then my gain, I moved it up by 0.70, because after my color space transform, as you can see, that's what happened. I just wanted to bring things a little bit up. Again, it's because some of the adjustments I made to this node here is because of this LUT here, the Kodak 2383 LUT. Again, I don't want to say that I am professional colorist. I told you I just use my eye and I go by what I see, what looks good to my eye. That's how I do it. So my offset, I left it untouched. I left it as is. No, sorry, I was in the wrong node. So my gain, I put it 0.7, and then my offset, as you can see, I moved everything up from 25 to 32.25. Okay, if I was to reset it, you see, that's 25. Let's undo this. So that is 32.25, and then what else? I went to the HDR. In the HDR wheel, I wanted to affect my shadows a little bit. So I brought my shadows down. I brought the exposure of my shadows down to -0.26. And I also moved my yellows, or the Y, because here you have the Y and the X. Of course, that tells you that if you're moving down the Y, like you're going negative, then that means you're introducing more yellow, you're introducing more warmth to the colors. And if you're moving along the x-axis and you go negative, then you are taking away the blues and introducing more of the yellows, the warm tones. And then if you're going towards the positive, then you're introducing a lot of the blue. As you can see, if I was to move that, then I'm introducing more blue, more coolness, you know, more cold, more cool colors. Like these colors are very cool. Then that's what you get. And then if you're to move to the left, then I'm introducing more warmth, right? That's what you get. I'll just undo that. Okay, and then for the Y down here, if I am to move it to the right, then I am moving upwards, which means I'm moving towards the red, towards the, you know, magenta up there. And then if I am to move it to the negatives, I am moving into the green. You can tell from the vector scope right here, that's what is happening. I'll just undo that. Yeah. So my display looks good. Like my exposure, the way my colors are looking looks great, because I can see from this very bright point in my vector scope, it's centered. Just ignore this little line going into the magenta. It's because of this big green thing here. That is why you see this little spike going towards cyan. That's what I did for the shadows. So I moved the shadows down to minus 0.26, and then I increased the warmth to 0.01. And then I left my x-axis minus 0.0. I don't know why does Davinci Resolve like you guys know why Davinci Resolve does this thing, like negative 0.00. Does 0 have a negative? As far as my mathematics is concerned, I know 0 does not have a negative. 0 is neutral. It's not positive and it's not negative. It's neutral. If anything, maybe 0 is not absolutely 0. Yeah, I think if you did mathematics in university and you did what's that subject called? I've forgotten. There is a way of proving that 0 is not 0 using theorems in mathematics. What's that subject called? Calculus. Yeah. If you did calculus, I believe, if I remember very well, there is a way of proving that 0 is not 0. So yeah, anyways, away from that back to the video. So yeah, so here it shows minus 0.00. I don't get that, but we'll go with what, you know, the makers of the software decided. So that's what I did for that node. And then we go to the third node. Now my third node here, as you can see, I have a lot of color balance going on here. The image still doesn't look great. It doesn't look great, but it's somehow getting there. Because if you consider where we came from, very flat, to where we are right now, now you can see that you're getting more magentas from the vector scope right here. You're getting more colors into the magenta. Now this green has shifted a little bit. Sorry, the cyan has shifted a little bit to the greens. It's no longer way in here. Like if I turned off this, you can see it was right down here, straight and small. But then when I added that node, you see it kind of spread out. Everything is really going crazy here. But it's okay. It's because I'm adding color. So I stretched out some of the colors here. That's why you see my vector scope is kind of looking like a mess. But it's all right. Like I told you guys, I go by what I see. So in this node, this is what I did. Let's see what I did here. I brought down my lift. Now here I used this other wheel here, the color wheels. That's what I used. In the previous node, I think I used the log wheels. Did I? No, I still use the color wheels. Yeah, so you can use the color wheels. You can use these color bars. You can use the log wheels. So I still went with the color wheels. And I brought down my lift to minus 0.03. And my gamma, I brought it up by 0.04. My gain, I brought it down. Actually, I brought my gain down by 0.85, which is the same thing here. I brought my gain down by 0.3. So that's what I did here. My offset, I brought it down from 25 to 24.05. And my color temperature, I still messed it up here. I still played with my color temperature. I brought it up to 150. Remember, I told you it was a winter day. There's a lot of snow outside, so there's going to be like a lot of blue color, blue undertones coming from the snow and the sky. You're going to get a lot of blue. So I had to warm up the video a little bit to make things look a little bit warm and happy. And yeah, that's what I did for that. Did I mess up anything in the logs? Yes, I did mess up some things in the log wheel, but I did not do the same here. Oh, I only messed up here in the highlights. Then I came down here to my log wheels on my third node right there. As you can see, the midtones, I did bring the midtones a little bit up by 0.19, and then I brought my highlights down by 0.01. And the way I did this is just by simply rolling the dial down here. You can see there's a dial at the bottom there. You can just roll that dial. It's the same thing here. I just roll the dial by 0.1. It's the same thing here, but you can also roll the dial back for individual colors. Like if I wanted to roll my offset, the reds, so I can offset the red like that, and everything just becomes green, like giving it some sci-fi kind of look. But that's not what I want. But I just wanted to even out everything, roll everything together. So I just used the dial at the bottom. Then I came to the curves. This is your classic S curve, and the way you can do it is you simply click on the high point here, and then you come to these little three dots near the word scopes. You just make sure you enable editable splines. This gives you these handles that allow you to adjust your highlights, giving you that S curve. I can try to pull this a little bit just for demonstration purposes for you to see what I'm doing. And the highlights, that was good. You can do that if you want to. I'll just leave that like that. So this gives you your classic S curve. You can choose to bring your shadows down using this, as you can see, like that. And you can bring your highlights up doing the same. You can do that. I don't know if I want to leave it like that. I don't want to crush my shadows. I'll just bring that a little bit up there. Okay, then we moved on to the fourth node, which I called the look. There. Now, are you guys seeing how my vector scope is changing? It's constantly changing. It's constantly changing. For every node I'm adding, that vector scope is changing. Because look, see where my magentas were going. See where my cyans were going. When I introduce this look, now I seem to have brought my cyans and the reds down, but my greens are becoming more pronounced, more evident. And actually that's what I really wanted, because this object here was green, wasn't like cyan. So I'm happy with how it's starting to turn out, because here I see it's more drawn towards the green and not the cyan, which is good. When you look at my little girl's skin, like the skin tones here, they're kind of getting to where I want them, right? They're kind of getting to where I want them, because usually when you're using the vector scope, you want your skin tones to fall along this line here. You see this line? This is the only quadrant in this vector scope that has a line right there. So this line basically tells you that is where your skin tones should fall. Now, the way I do it is I never want my skin tones to actually fall straight, to fall directly on this line, because based on experience, whenever I try to do that, my skin tones are usually off. but it sometimes depends on how you exposed your footage and how you what sort of white balance that you used. Sometimes you use the wrong white balance, so if you try to put your skin tones to fall directly on this line, they are either going to be more red or yeah, more red. Most times they get more red based on experience if you try to put them on this line. Yeah, so sometimes I try to keep it either below this line. Sometimes I would it a little above the line. That is if my skin tones appear a little bit yellowish or very orange, I want to move them towards the red a little bit. And the reason why we move our skin tones towards the red is because of like what reality is. Beneath our skin we have blood, so blood runs under our skin. So if you have a lot of like orange or a lot of yellow in your skin tone, then it's like you're saying our skin, like what runs under our skin is orange, but actually what runs under our skin is red, which is the blood. So you want to draw your skins more towards the red. Yeah, but again, that depends on how you set up your white balance while shooting your video. Okay, all right, so we will yeah, fourth node. Let's see what I did in the fourth node. I'll just turn the fourth node on. So let's see. This is what I did in the color wheels. As you can see, for my shadows, I didn't really mess up anything with my shadows. I left them as they are. Midtones, I left them as they are. The highlights, I left them as it is. The only thing I messed up was the offset here. Let's see what I did here. Let's just reset. So what I did here was I moved the offset a little bit up because my image was getting a little bit underexposed. Let me pull up the waveform. No, the parade. Because when you look at the parade here, it looks underexposed, right? You don't have anything blown out in the highlights, because you're anything above like 896 IRE. They say that usually is anything about that is above that is usually blown out, and anything like very close to 0 is usually very, very underexposed. So when you look at this, I would say that it's not clipping and it's a little bit underexposed, but it's okay. And I'm going to show you why, because of this Kodak 2383 LUT that I applied. That is why I have some of the settings and some of the things I've been doing in these other previous nodes. Like I told you, sometimes you color grade going backwards. You do one thing in a node that's after, and then later on you're like, oh, I can go backwards to the previous nodes and try to make a few adjustments to those nodes so that you make things look good. Like there is no straight way. Like I would say that there is no linear way of color grading, because we color grade differently. You color grade going backwards, going forward. Sometimes you're in a more advanced node, like let's say a node way in the front, right? You're maybe in, let's say, the last node right here, but then you figure out that you've tried making adjustments in this node and things are really not working out. But then when you come back to like a previous node, like a former node, you try to do a few things right there, somehow things adjust themselves and everything just aligns itself. So yeah, so in my look, that is what I did in the color wheels. In the color wheels, but under the log wheels. That's what I did in the log wheels. Nothing fancy. Did I do anything in the color wheels? Yes, a little bit. In my lift, I brought my lift down minus negative 0.1, and then my gamma, I moved it up by 0.05. My gain, I reduced my gain. Again, like I told you, Apple log is usually overexposed, so it's good to bring that gain down. Like in my case, there's a lot of reflections coming from the snow, so I had to bring that down. And then my offset, of course I brought my offset up because everything was turning out to be a little underexposed, but that is what I did there. And then I came to my the dark areas of my videos. I brought down the dark areas to minus 2.16, and then my shadows, I brought them up by 0.1. And then my light areas, now the light areas are more like where your midtones are. I brought that up by 0.17, and everything else was left as was. And then right here are the interesting bits about my look. Now in my look, usually I don't mess up with the color wheels and log wheels. I usually like messing with the hue versus hue, hue versus saturation, you know, saturation versus luminance, etc. So as you can see, my hue versus hue curve, I didn't mess up with this curve here, the custom curve. I left it as is. But when you come to the hue versus hue, this is where I brought my like the red, I brought it down, and then I started bringing out my orange. I brought the orange up. Let's go back to the vector scope and see how that vector scope looks. You can see, so that's what I did. I brought the orange up, and then I kept the yellows level, and then my cyan, as you can see, this peak here is because of this green object. That is what is represented down here. And then you see this spike, this is what my daughter was wearing. It has like a purple pink shade on it. So down here is purple, and then up here is pink. So I brought that pink down also a little bit because I was trying to avoid the magenta undertone. And yeah, I brought up this one slightly up because I wanted it to look more of purple and not blue, right? See, if I do that, it begins to change a little bit. So I'll just undo that. And then if you bring it down, that's what happens. It begins to look more like pink. So I'll just undo that. And then when you come to the saturation, I have a weird curve here. This is very weird, but I had to do this. So I brought my saturation, like my reds, my oranges, I just dropped everything down. You can look at this, it's really spiked up. That red orange tone is really spiked up because of this brown. This is actually like brown. It's like orange, it's like brown. It's because when you look at this frame here, this is the dominant color, right? It's the dominant color followed by, I would say, the green, and then this little purple magenta area, and then the pink. You can see it from the curve right there. This is the most spiked, followed by that, and then that. But this has a wider area. It covers a much wider area compared to this. This has a very small portion. So yeah, I moved up my green. I really cranked them. It's Apple log anyways. The footage won't break if you try to stretch out the colors. But however, sometimes when you overdo it, the footage breaks. It begins to pixelate. So that's what I did. And then I brought down my I still brought up my cyans a little bit because I wanted this green to really look green. What else did I do? Then when you move to the hue versus luminance, I brought up this. I brought it up because I wanted it to be lighter. Like I wanted her skin to look lighter, like to have more light. I didn't want it to look dark. And then the green, of course, I brought that up a little bit. I think I want to bring this down now that I am doing a tutorial. I'll bring that down. And what else did I do? That's just basically about that. These others, I really never get to mess around with them. I usually do the hue versus hue, hue versus saturation, and then the hue versus luminance. Those are the ones I like playing with. Then we go to node number 5. Now, remember what I told you about this slot? This is the film, let's call it the film look. So this is your Kodak, the Rec 709 Kodak 2383 LUT. Now you remember why I was bringing my highlights down and bringing my shadows a little bit up was because of that LUT there. That LUT just crushes your shadows and just overexposes your highlights. So when you look at my image right now, you can see that this blue area is crushed, like it's black. It's almost black, but we shall adjust that. And then usually when I add a LUT, I don't like messing up with the LUT, but sometimes sometimes when a LUT is too saturated, if it's giving you a lot of saturation, you can do quite a number of things. You can come to the color wheels here and change the color temperature, or you change the color boost by bringing it down to negatives. Or you can bring the saturation here. Saturation points at 50% by default, and the hue is at 50. You can bring these values down if you feel like the light that you applied to your footage is really causing a lot of saturation issues. You can bring that down. You can also go in and individually dial in and affect like individual colors. If that's what you want, you can affect very individual colors within your film look, but most times I just want to leave the film look as is, and then I just make changes to the other nodes. Yeah, that's what I like to do. So and then I add my glow. Now this glow helps you even out the highlights and kind of make them glow a little bit to avoid them from really looking like overly exposed and harsh. So when you add the glow, it kind of makes them dreamy, creamy. It makes them a little bit softer. And then my third last node here was, I called it soft. Now this glow, I'll show you how I did that. When you come to, just reset this node. So if you have a node, let's say that I have this node here, and I want to, you just come to effects and just look up glow, right here. This is glow effect, and just drop it onto the node, just like that. And then you can play around with all these parameters and just kind of find something that works best for you. Like once you, I'll just raise the microphone a little bit because I feel like I'm seated while bent like that. So I'll just stretch. I think I've been speaking for so long. Yeah. So when you have when you add your glow to a node, then you can come and mess around with the effects here. You can, you know, increase the shine or reduce the shine, but most times you want to leave it under the effect that you want to have selected is the glow image, glowing image. That's what you want to have selected, and then you can play around with the spread, the H/V ratio. I don't know what that is. Is it the highlight vignette ratio? I think that is. I don't know. You guys know what the H/V stands for? I don't know. And then you have the relative spread of the reds. That's straightforward. The greens, the blues. So what glow does, it adds a little glow to your highlights or to your image, but it also affects some of the colors in there. So you can increase the relative spread of the red within the glow, or the relative spread of the green within the glow, or the blue within the glow, depending on what you want to do. So in my case, let's see what I did. I moved the relative spread up from 7.5 something to 8. I left that checked as is, and then the relative, the shape and spread. I can see the spread, I brought it down. So what basically you can do here is just mess around and see what works best, what gives you the best. I don't want to talk much about that one. Let's go to the film grain. No, let's go to the soft. Now I call this node soft because I'll just reset this node. When you come to effects, now I called it soft because this node allows me to soften or sharpen my image, because images coming off an iPhone or a digital camera usually appear very sharp and very digital. So what I want to do is to kind of try to emulate a film look, kind of make our image look as though it came out of a film camera or was shot using film. So you want to reduce on that digitalness. So that's what I did with this soften and sharpen. Yeah, because most times, like when you capture videos using your smartphone, the images are very sharp. Like when you look at me right now, you look at my skin, like it just doesn't look great. You want your image to look soft, right? So that's why I added this node. So when you go in your search button here, you just search for soft. When you type in soft like that, you'll have soften and sharpen. You drag it and drop it here. So once you have it dropped here, then you can make a few adjustments. For example, you can adjust the texture, the small texture, the medium texture, the large texture, depending on what you really want your image to look like. I mean, just experiment and see what works best for you. And then when you go to the second last node, this one is my film grain. It also kind of does the same thing like the node before. It allows you to soften the light, soften the image. And I chose soft light right here. And I left the opacity as was, 0.5. That's just basically it. And again, the more effects you add to your videos while editing, just know that depending on the machine you have, your workflow is going to slow down. So I tried to keep it very minimal. So like in this case, I added 1, 2, 3, 4 like effects that are like GPU intense. That's what I did with this one. I added film grain. I dialed in a few things here. As you can see, I moved my texture up to 0.75. My grain size, I also moved it up. Grain aspect ratio, I left that I think as was. Grain strength, I think I changed that a little bit. Softness, I changed that too. And then you can even go into advanced here and make more changes if you want to, but just keep it simple, guys. You don't have to really complicate stuff. You don't have to be complicating stuff. That's what I can tell you. So when you come in grain, this is what I did. This is what I did. Yeah. I don't know if there is a way of saving this as a preset. Like once you have like dialed in your presets from like the film grain, I don't know if you're able to save this as a preset. It would be very nice, like if you could save this as a preset. But unfortunately, you can only save the whole color grade that you have done as a preset. You can't like save an individual preset here. You can't save an individual setting like effect here as a preset. I don't know if there is a way of doing that in Davinci, but I know in Premiere Pro you can save individual effects as presets. Once you've dialed them in and you feel like that's what you want to use, you can do that. In Davinci, I don't know how to do that. Someone educate me if you know how to do that. And then lastly, we have the vignette. So what vignette is simply those it's the little darkening of the edges of the frame. As you can see, if I turn it off and on, I want you guys to pay attention to the edges of the frame here. You guys seeing where the cursor is? If I turn it off and on, you can see that you can come into. I'm about to sneeze. Oh, it's gone. So you can use the border shape. I like going with rectangle. You can go with oval if you want to. You see, when you go with oval, it becomes more pronounced. You can change the size, right? But I like going with the rectangular. I think for me that works great. It doesn't make my overall frame dark. At least just makes the edges a little bit dark. Now, what vignetting simply does. Now, if you don't use vignetting, I want to encourage you guys to begin using vignetting in your videos, or when you're editing your photos. It's good to use vignette. Anyway, it depends on what exactly you are trying to do. But as for me, I like drawing the viewer's attention towards the objects in the center of the frame. So you can use vignette to do that. So when you have a vignette around the frame, you're telling the viewer, hey, don't look at the edge of the frame. I want you to look at the center of the frame. So that's what vignetting does. Yeah, some people really use heavy vignetting if you really want to focus the attention of the viewer to a very specific object within the frame. Like, you don't want them to be looking at other distractions within the frame. You want them to focus on only a specific item within the frame. Then you can use very heavy vignetting. You're trying to show them that this is what I want you guys to look at. Then you can use heavy vignetting away from, yeah. So that's basically, that's what I did. But now I need to fine tune this image, because now looking back, looks like we have the shadows are really crushed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my third node here, and I'm going to bring my lift up, right? That looks way better. Yeah, I think let me first turn off the vignette so we really get an understanding of what's going on here. So when you look at this frame, I can say that this frame really looks cool. I can go with that, but let's see. I'll bring my shadows up. Yeah, I'll bring my shadows up. I think that looks okay to me. Let's see. That looks good. That looks good. I'll bring my light down a little bit by -0.1. And yeah, my highlights are okay. I'll bring my light down, which is like my midtones. Okay, I leave my midtones untouched. So basically that's that. I think it looks good. It's just that the monitor I am using for editing, the monitor right here, is not a great monitor. Like, its display is garbage. But the other monitor I have right this other side, it's a very good monitor from my Acer Nitro 5. For those that know this PC, you know that this is a great PC. So it has a very good display. So when I'm editing on my Davinci Resolve program, I usually have I have my display of like my clean video feed on my good monitor on my left, and then my main monitor where I'm like moving the wheels and moving the dials and everything is on my bigger monitor, which is of course trash, but it just works okay because most times I'm viewing from. So based on what I'm looking at on my left hand side, I think the image looks great. I don't know what you guys think. I feel like her skin, now when you look at her skin here, my little girl's skin, you see it's moving a little bit into the reds, but we have that little, you know, magenta thing is because of this pink that she's wearing, like the hot pink is why we have this magenta stuff going on here. But overall, I think the grading looks okay. I don't know. I feel it looks good. My snow is not like blue. I tried to take that out. So again, look at my skin tones here. It's more like orange red. I really didn't want like to move it a little more to the orange, but it looks like just about what I want to look like. I can make a few adjustments. Let me go to my saturation. Let me see. And bring that down a little bit. I can go in my film look and see. Now I can bring that red down. I think that looks okay. Yeah. I think that looks okay. Really, I can't do much beyond this. So we moved from there. That is where we moved from. I see there is another person watching. But that's where we came from to that. Isn't that cool? This is Apple log. We moved from that to that. I'll just disable all these nodes and show you guys where we came from up to where we ended up. I'll just delete this one. We don't need it. So first step is your color space transform. Let me just recap the whole process for you guys before I end the stream. So the first thing is you come to, when you fire up your Davinci Resolve, come under settings down here, bottom right, click there and come and set up your color management. These are my settings. Davinci YRGB, timeline color space, Rec 709 gamma 2.4, output color space, Davinci white gamut, stroke intermediate. That's it. Once you have that set up, you can drop in any footage from any camera, and then you come into your color tab and then color grade it how you want. Next step is you set up a color space transform node. Once you set up that node, come to effects, search for color space transform, drag and drop it here, and then dial in these settings. Okay. Step number 3 is you have this node here, which is, I'd call it primaries. I'll label it as primaries. I'll label this node as primaries. Can name it as primaries. You do a few settings there, but while you're adjusting that, always make sure you look at your vector scope. Other people like looking at the waveform or the per red, but the best thing is the vector scope. This one is the best. And then after that, we went there. Still, this was like primaries, and then we went to the look, which you can say this looks okay. If you want to, you can actually go with this if you want to. All you have to do in this case is just to add contrast. You bring your shadows down, and yeah, if you're happy with this, you can simply just work on the contrast and your image could actually look great. It could look great by just, you know, adding contrast. I can show you that. Control S and pull up the S curve. Just do that. See what I said? Like I could tell just by looking that that image just needed contrast. Yeah, you can go with this if you want to. Actually, this looks good. Yeah. Can go with this if you want to. Right. It looks good. It looks good. Yeah. Yeah, you can do that if you want to, but I just don't want that node there. And let's see. You can add contrast actually down here. Maybe that was too much. Yep. For me, that looks good. And then we added the film look, your Kodak 2383 LUT. We added our glow that helps us control the highlights. We added our softening. We softened the highlights. Sorry, we softened the light and softened the image overall. And then we added our film grain to take away the digitalness or the digital look from our images. And then finally we added our vignette. Now you can edit the vignette a little bit. And then I can add more softness like that. That's without with. I think that looks okay to me. So basically that's that is how you can color grade Apple log footage. And yeah, that is based on my own personal experience. That is how I managed to color grade my Apple log footage. And again, the way you color grade is very subjective. Color grading is more like an artist's expression of what they want their pictures or their images to look like. There really isn't a bad or good way of color grading. It all depends on the artist. You are the artist. You determine how your images you determine how your images look like, right? If you're editing pictures, you determine how you want your images to look like. And again, sometimes it depends on the mood. Some people edit pictures or take pictures depending on the mood that they are experiencing at the moment. Person wants to use a happy colors like the oranges and the reds. You can use happy colors if you want to. And also it depends on what you're actually cutting or what you're actually editing. Sometimes the images or the videos that you're editing are happy videos where people are happy, people are playing. Yeah, you can choose to go with the bright colors, the happy colors, your oranges, your reds. Those are the happy colors. Then you can also, of course, couple that with what they call like color combinations, right? You can choose very great color combinations to go with that. But yeah, we know that color evokes emotion, so you choose your colors accordingly. And one other thing I've learned like while like creating videos for my own purposes and for my own use is how to use color not only in post but even before I actually shoot a video. Like I get to choose how I want the video to look before I shoot it. For example, I choose a color scheme and I'm like, okay, I'm going out for a walk and it's really green outside. I don't want to choose like weird colors when I'm out there. I want to choose like, if I'm going to go in the greens, then I'm going to choose like a red. Red goes so well with green. You can also do yellow. Yellow complements green so well. Yeah, it's good to choose. Yeah, if you're going out in like outdoors, I would recommend red, green, orange, and blue. Sometimes I found that blue really doesn't work for me most of the times, but red, orange, yellow really does the job for me. Those are very good colors if you're going out in the wild. If you're going to walk in snow, if it's snowy out there, then you don't want to be putting on blue, because the snow is very white, and then you have a blue sky, and then you have yourself putting on blue, then everything is going to look very blue. And like again I said, it depends on what you want to go for. You are the artist and you get to decide how you want your images to look like. You get to decide what kind of emotions you want to evoke from your viewers. So it's all up to you. But yeah, you will want to be putting on blue during a snowy day. You want a bright color, a color that makes you stand out from the snow. You want to go with a bright color, maybe a red or a yellow. You can even go with a black, because black stands out from snow, right? Because snow is white and black is the opposite. So you can go that way. Yeah, but anyway, that is what I wanted to say, guys. Thank you guys for watching. I see there's one like on the stream. You can give the video a like. I mean, it doesn't hurt, right? It doesn't really hurt. Otherwise, I don't know what video you guys want me to do next. Oh, I see people. Oh, people were typing stuff here. Okay, let's try and see what people are saying down here. Mr. Msinguzi said, yes, we see. Mateus Lang says, hello, bro. Hello. Elevation Chapter says, hey, this is for the pro editors. No, really, it's not for pro editors. Anyone can follow this. You don't have to be a pro editor to use Davinci Resolve. Like if you're able to edit a video using any software, any app on your phone, then I believe you can dive into Davinci Resolve and start learning. Mr. Filmmaker, hey dude, hey my friend, just a little suggestions. Always do a CST at the end node. I've had people say you can do a CST at the end node. Others say you can do it at the start. Others even do CSTs. They have two CSTs, one at the beginning and one at the end. I've seen there's a pro colorist, I've forgotten his name, he's from the UK. I've seen him have a CST node even in the middle, like in between the color nodes. Like he has one at the beginning, then he has one at the end, then he has another in the middle. So really, like, using nodes and color space transforms is really subjective. I can say there's no wrong or right method of using CSTs, because sometimes when you watch so many tutorials and so many YouTube videos, everyone is going to tell you whatever they think or whatever works for them. Again, like I said, like there is no wrong or right method. You can choose to use a CST at the end of your color grading or at the start. Yeah, you can do whatever. Like there is no harm in that. But also remember, sometimes why in my case, why I don't add a CST node at the end is because when I come into export, like I export in Rec 7 or 9. So when you come to export or render and you come to advanced settings right here, there's something that says color space tag. I don't know, sorry, like when you come to export, when you come to render in Davinci Resolve, is where it says color space tag. So I like tagging that as Rec 709, so I don't have to add another color space transform in my workflow. Like for me, that's what I do. So that is why I don't add another color space transform at the end. However, you can add that. Bro, this is a wrong way to apply codec. Man, I don't know. Like for me, like I said, there's a better way. There's always a better way of doing things, but for me, that's what I do. And again, like I said, if it looks good, it looks good for me. Like that is how I want it to look, but people use it differently. Hello bro, hope you're doing well. Thank you, Robin Drones. Intentionally picking the colors. Good idea. Your mic is clipping a little bit. You might have to push back a little bit. Oh, thank you for that. I'll push back a little bit. Sorry. Because sometimes, you know, when you're speaking, you have like your voice goes high and then it goes low. This is not a dynamic microphone, so that is why. Do a CST at the end. I don't know, man, if I need to do, because I have a CST at the beginning, which helps me set the tone, like to how I want the footage to look like. Because if I'm going to if I'm going to apply a CST at the end of my color grading node, I don't know, man. Like it's I don't know. Like in my head, it's. I'm not saying what Mr. Filmmaker said is wrong, but like for me, just I don't know. Like it. I don't want to say it doesn't make sense. Like it's like you're converting your Apple log at the end of your color grading, whereas I feel like you need to convert your Apple log to Rec 709 before you start color grading. And the reason for me why I do that is because most of the displays that we use, like the monitor that I'm using, the phones that we use, display Rec 709. So if I convert Rec 709 at the end, I don't know, because that means that I'm going to be editing log. I don't know how to explain it. So it means the rest, like it means the color node, the color nodes before the CST at the end are going to be in Apple log, right? I think that's what like that's how I would interpret that. But otherwise, for me, I really want to have my color space transform right at the beginning, because my display and what I'm using for like displaying my colors as I'm working, as I'm editing, they display in Rec 709. If I was using an Apple machine, then I would convert I don't know, there's when you go to settings here, there's where it says Apple, you see it's Rec 709 scene, Gamma 2.4, and then there's Rec 709A. Now, this is if I was using an Apple machine, that I would set that as Rec 709A for my display. But because I'm using a Windows machine, I decide to leave that as Rec 709 Gamma 2.4. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to say about the color space transform at the start. So I convert it at the start and then work with Rec 709. Yeah. I don't know. Robin, how do you color grade? Do you color grade using Davinci Resolve, or you use other programs? Totally sounds good better now. All right. Yeah, thanks for that feedback. Yeah, because I felt like, when I was getting closer to the microphone like that, I thought I was trying to sound like, low, and just making sure that I'm very close to the microphone so that the microphone picks up good sound. But yeah, I'll just try to distance myself away from the microphone, and I think it makes a little bit more sense. It makes a lot of sense, because when I look at my levels on my the program that I'm using right here, I can see why I think the microphone was clipping. And bring that down. Okay, I hope that makes the sound good. Right. Yeah, I see what you are doing. I tend to do both CST at the start and at the end. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I tried both. I tried using CST at the start and at the end, but then it kind of didn't make sense to me, like having another CST within like I've already converted it, then again convert it. Like you've already converted it from Rec 709, from log to Rec 709, and then at the end convert it to what? Rec 709 again. Yeah. So that's why I don't use like another CST node at the end, like in my case, because like it's a double conversion, right? It's like a double conversion. That's why I don't use a CST at the end. I just, leave it to be as is. Like once I do my CST at the start, that's it. It's like a wrapper, but you are wrapping it in export. Yeah. Yeah. And then, so if you're saying that, then what about this color space tag at when you're rendering, like in the render page where you have the color space tag Rec 709? So because it has like the color space tag where you say Rec 709, and then it has the gamma tag where I just left as same as project. So same as project literally means that I converted my colors. I converted my footage from Rec 709 to whatever, from Apple log to Rec 709, and then I can come here same as project, or I can still change this to, I don't know, gamma 2.4 and then render it out, or I could leave as same as project. I don't know if you I don't know. Then what do you do? So Robin, what do you do with the color space tag and the gamma tag in the render page if you have a double CST, one at the beginning and one at the end? Yes, I use the same export settings. I'm going to try to drop the CST, the end CST. May be repetitive and duplication. Yeah, like for me that's what it appeared to me, like it's like a duplication, because one time what I did was I followed a tutorial, and this guy was saying that he's a pro colorist. I'm just forgetting his name. It's from the UK. Like when you search up color grading tutorials on YouTube, like I'm sure you can't miss him. His videos pop up like among like the top searches. I saw him doing a tutorial, and he was putting a color space transform at the start and another at the end. But then when he transformed this footage at the start, and I could see there was something that changed. But then when he added the other one at the end, the footage kind of went back to the original. And I got confused. I was like, so what has he done exactly here? And then when I watched another guy, I watched, he was like, just use one color space transform at the start and you're good. And then I watched another guy was like, just use one at the end. And then I watched the other UK guy just, used 3 color space transforms. I was like, what the heck is going on? He used another one in the middle. because he applied a film look. I think it was Kodak. I think it was the same LUT, Kodak 2383 LUT, and then he converted. Like right after applying that LUT, he added a CST and converted to Rec 709. I was like, what is he doing? And then he added another node and then converted again. He had like two conversion nodes in the middle of the grade. And then he had one at the start and one at the end. I was like, what is he doing? Yeah. Yeah, no, honestly, you just do what works for you. But like color grading is just an artist's expression of what they want their images to look like. And again, sometimes we put in so much in color grading and just we overload the program when it's not necessary. Like we are putting in so many CSTs, so many color nodes. I have learned to really keep it simple. Like when you look at my node structure here, I have really learned like to just keep it simple. Sometimes we add so many things. You find a person has a CST, then he has like 3 primary nodes, and then he has like layer nodes, outside nodes, and like when you look at someone's color page and you're like, oh my god, what is going on? Connector nodes. I'm like, what the hell? Why are you doing all that? You know, sometimes it's just a YouTube video. I mean, just like keeping it simple and clean and easy so that I don't task my program. I like to be more efficient. Yeah, for me, it just works for me. Yeah, now when you begin adding other effects like glow, soften and sharpen, film grain, and then other people that have like plugins, you add those plugins stuff, just cramps up the program and begin experiencing like a very slow editing program. But yeah, thank you Robin for coming around. I really appreciate you for coming around, by the way. Thank you so much. I know you've been following the channel, and I really appreciate you. Yeah, Darren. Yeah, that's his name. Darren. That's right. That is the guy I was talking about. Yeah, that's the guy. Oh my god. He's so good like at Davinci. When it comes to color grading, oh, that's your go-to. That's your go-to. He's so good. Yeah. All right, Robin. I'm just going to end this stream right here, and thank you for coming around and tuning in and supporting as always. I really want to do more of these and see where we go in 2025 with this Kennedy's channel. I basically just want to be doing everything that I know online and share with people, share with the world, and get to learn from people. Like someone said, Mr. Filmmaker said that I am using the Kodak 2383 LUT the wrong way. I will do more research on that and see what's the best way to use those and the reason why I actually use that film LUT is because of my CST. Again, that like I used, when you look at my gamma output here, I used Cineon film log, right? That is why I used the Kodak 2383. Yeah, thank you Robin, and thank you everyone. I'll just end the stream right here. Happy New Year guys, and peace out. See you soon. Bye. I love you all, and don't forget to say hi to your mom if she's still around. Yeah, say hi to her. Thank you guys for watching. I love you, and I'm out of here.